You're hired, says Alan Sugar at the end of The Apprentice. And today's gospel reading is about Jesus hiring his apprentices, these raw recruits, inexperienced fishermen. He hires them and gives them a real task. Jesus has been proclaiming the kingdom himself, teaching and healing. It's been a one-man effort, and now he recognizes that the time has come to build and equip his team, to multiply his resources, because he sees that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And that situation is very similar today. We live in a community in Bovingdon of maybe 5,500 people, of whom less than 200 are regular churchgoers. And yet there is a great spiritual hunger. People are desperately searching for answers to the real deep questions about life. And equally, there's the same need that there always has been to fight injustice, as we can see from the Black Lives Matter campaign. Injustice is deep rooted in our society, and we need all God's help to bring it to the surface and to combat it. The message of the last 2 weeks of Pentecost and Trinity is clear. We are to proclaim the gospel to all nations in the power of the Holy Spirit. But that's quite an awesome task. How on earth do we set about it? I think the first thing we have to remember is that the disciples were raw recruits. They had maybe 6 months or a year's experience. They will have made plenty of mistakes. They will have found themselves tongue-tied. They will have faced disappointment and rejection. God can use us as Jesus used them to work for his kingdom, however inexperienced, however unqualified we may feel ourselves to be. I remember the Bishop of Hertford at a confirmation service here in Bovingdon a few years ago saying to the confirmands, and indeed to all of us, through small actions you can do great things for God. Through small actions. We may feel unable, unqualified to go out as those disciples did and heal the sick physically. And yet a kind word, a home or hospital visit when we're allowed to, can do a great deal of healing. We may not feel very confident to proclaim the gospel, but simply saying to our friends that our faith is real and alive and gives meaning to our lives and helps us is a very good start. Followed at the appropriate moment by a quiet invitation to come and join us in our worship, or perhaps at our home group, or just to chat over a cup of coffee. We may not be able to cast out demons. That's not really the language we use today. But at a time when mental health is such a huge concern, giving time to a conversation with someone who is bereaved or isolated or depressed can make a huge difference to their mental health, can help in some small way to cast out their demons. So we are all hired by Jesus. We are sent out into that harvest field as laborers for him. We may feel ill-qualified, but he will equip us and train us for what we need to do, to go out and proclaim the good news through our words and through our actions, because small actions can do great things.